Going to college is an investment in yourself. So do common sense investing rules apply? This post is based on my sibling. My brother wants to go to college to become a doctor. Approximately $250,000 of debt. Yes, becoming a doctor is lucrative and noble and much needed in society. But let's put aside the social conditioning and propaganda. Let's strictly look at this from an investment lens. He is betting $250,000 on himself that he will emerge from med school as a doctor making high salary. However, he doesn't have any savings. Has a full-time job currently paying $40,000. No safety net or family to move in with just in case he falls on hard times or medical insurance if he gets sick. Basically, no hedge or stop loss. Is this equivalent to a YOLO in the stock market? Let's discuss. I want to hear different perspectives. Only real risk is doing most the school and not graduating. If he does 1 year and drops out, he will owe some money but not everything. The odds of him dropping out decreases as his debt will increase fairly proportionately. Your post is weird. Your brother makes borderline poverty salary and has a path to becoming a doctor. And you're comparing it to your Robinhood account. He's not out of touch. You are. It's not a YOLO because it's a fairly sure thing once you get accepted to med school, discarding everything that can go wrong with everything you do in life, including getting laid off from his existing job tomorrow if and only if he can follow through. Which is entirely dependent on his personality, and he should be able to know himself well enough at this point in time. The opportunity cost of that choice should be considered, however. I'm personally glad I'm a software engineer making $250K that graduated at 24 with no debt instead of an MD graduating at 35 making $600K with $250K of debt with the literal life of people in my hands. Let's see here. Crypto gambler who got a bit lucky. Spends all day talking about prostitutes and gaming. Doesn't want 401k. Asks if becoming a doctor is a YOLO. This is an interesting perspective. The way I might look at it is, if you apply an unbiased perspective to your own performance history and potential, would you invest in you and how much? It's a YOLO the same way putting a lump sum into a house is a YOLO. What you outline is exactly why doctors and lawyers tend to overwhelmingly come from already wealthy, well-off families. It's very expensive. Many simply can't afford it. That said, if you succeed, you can definitely make a lot of money as a doctor. And if you like the career, then I'm sure it's very rewarding. If you want less debt and you want to still do medical field, you go the single mom making a comeback career. You become a nurse. Now that job, every poor person can go for because you can start from community college ground up to go do the 2-year degree first. Also, it's less taxing on you because you don't even really know if you want to be a doctor, tbh. You know your brother more intimately than you'll ever know the markets. Trading on insider info can reduce risk a lot. Do you believe in him? Basically, no hedge or stop loss. There are multiple avenues for having debt forgiven, like working a public sector job for 10 years. And even in the worst case scenario, the repayment plans are income-based. If you end up disabled and living on Social Security or something like that, then your income-based repayment will be $0. The main scenario in which you end up paying for all that debt is if you end up becoming a doctor and can pay it all back with your doctor salary. If he gets accepted, there's a good chance he'll be graduating. It's not nearly as risky as you're making it out to be. How can you quantify risks by personal action? What are the acceptable risks on getting on a plane? Very low failure rate. Super high mortality rate. By your logic, it would never be a safe investment to fly because it could go bad. But look at us. Skies are full. Gotta risk it to get the biscuit, son. Doctors are a special breed. It takes so much self-confidence to take on all those years of school, residency and fellowship before really earning good money. I personally could never have done it, but I respect people that have. Doc here. My $250,000 education yields 125 APY every year. That beats just about everything. Also, that debt will be forgiven shortly with me only paying back around $70,000. The upside is theoretically infinite, or at least really, really high. But the investment isn't just the money. It is also access to the learning, the residency, the licensure, etc. Plenty of data exists on the upside of a college education, and the median income of doctors is much higher. Assuming he's smart enough to get into med school and willing to put the work in and is not just in it for the money, it is absolutely not a YOLO. Before going into a degree, do some homework on what kind of major he wants first. Let him ask himself if he wants to work more than 12 hours. Dealing with rough schedules and patience. He has to find his risk tolerance too by starting some savings before going into debt. Personally, I did some savings before going into my social sciences degree. Before taking on student loan, he must check the financial aid office. I'm sure there are grants and scholarships he could apply to. Lastly, best of luck to your brother. I think it's unusual that you assume conventional wisdom and common sense are social conditioning and propaganda, when everyone else believes something and you do not. Your first assumption should be that you don't understand something, not that it's propaganda. I get that you're asking about it here, and that's fair enough, but the way you've asked this question makes me think your mind is already made up. It is the desire to help and save people that makes people want to spend 10 years in school being a physician. It's nothing like investing in the stock market. You have no control over the future success of the stock you invested in. Anything can happen. For going to med school, he has almost 100% control over whether he graduates or not. He can also stop loss by dropping out if he realizes that he's not cut out to be a doctor. It's more akin to investing in your own business. Also, I'm not clear on where he is in the process. But if he hasn't already taken the MCAT and gained admission to med school, there's no reason for him to quit his job yet. He can take classes part-time and study for the MCAT on his own. The real risk is not finishing. My understanding is that's relatively uncommon. Med school is brutal, but the schools themselves want everyone to make it and try to intervene and get you sorted out, plus the admission process really tries to select those who will succeed. Assuming he's accepted to a reputable school, this should be a good investment. The alternate path is to do it via military. Most degrees are fairly useless without a graduate's degree. Consider that additional cost while picking a major. Doesn't the $250,000 cover housing, health insurance, etc.? Colleges offer that, and tuition loans cover that. If he's unable to complete the degree, then you're down $250,000, but shrug. At that point it also seems like the bank's problem than yours, because that loan's never getting paid off. It's worse because you can't liquidate student loans debt in bankruptcy. He can get loans and grants and scholarships. He should be able to acquire all funding if he is accepted into school. At that point, it's a matter of being a successful top student. If he has always been good in school and is dedicated, it's a great thing. It's a great investment as well. He will be making $200K a year in no time. He will have his loans paid back in 5 years if he lives frugally to pay everything off after he has gotten into a good position. I think it's definitely worth it.